This is the Begin Within podcast, where we believe real, lasting health and fitness requires you to start inside before you work out. I'm your host, Nate Slegger, and I'm here to show you behind the scenes of fitness. You already know exercise is good for you, but what about all the other things in life that affect your fitness? If you're looking for extra motivation to get started or to make sure you keep going, this is the place for you.
Produced by BeginWithin.fit.
Hey, welcome back to the Begin Within Health Show. I'm excited today to talk with you about something that is super important in each of our health journeys. And it's a work in progress for all of us, right? We have things that happen. We have circumstances that happen that are simply out of our control, that definitely impact our health. But there are so many things that are within our control. And that's, of course, why we're here. That's why we come to this show and why we're out there on the internet. We're out there trying to learn what we can do in order to maximize the level of health that's available to each one of us. It's a work in progress. And so today I want to talk about something that's really important when it comes to that work in progress that is your health and that is my health for each of us individually. And this is something that I have gotten feedback from our community that work with us in our Begin Within community to improve their health. These are our nutrition coaching clients and our personal training clients. This aspect of the process that we present to those that work with us, I have heard is one of, if not the biggest piece of the process in terms of helping people move forward, helping us to get results. And of course, that's what we're after, right? We want to control what we can so that we can get positive results. We can maximize the health that is available to us right now, given our circumstances and genetics and things that might be essentially beyond what we can control. Here it is. That thing, and I've talked about it before here on the show, the thing is reflection. The act of pausing from what we're doing and slowing down enough to put some thought into the process itself, to see how it's going, to see what we've learned, so that we can make better choices in the future. It's reflection. And that's what's missing so often in so many different programs and so many diets and workout plans and what is, hey, how's it working? Let's stop. Let's pause periodically. Let's not just do it once, but let's do it periodically. Let's do it as part of the process to stop, to slow down, and to check in to see how the different elements of this system are working for us. What needs to be kept in, what needs to be dropped out, what adjustments do we need to make in order to make this thing more effective? And that's what we need to do with our health journey. And that's what so many people don't do. And because when they do stop to assess, oftentimes it's just to judge. It's just to maybe feel bad enough to quit, right? Throw in the towel. This isn't working. I'm not getting what I want, so I'm done. I'm going to quit trying. Who cares? Whatever. That's not the attitude we want to have. We want to reflect right now together, and that's what I'm going to take you through is a reflection session to think back over the previous year, because here we are at the end of the calendar year of 2023 at the time of this recording. And if it's another year in the future, this is still a good episode. I mean, this is a good one to sit down and do periodically. And so we've done it here on the show before, but I have some new questions for reflection, some new ways to look at some of these areas. Because in my own health journey, I'm learning, I'm growing, I'm evolving, I'm adapting. And so what I've come to appreciate in that journey has shifted and changed, and I hope it has for you too. And I hope this podcast has been a big part of that. So what I want to invite you to do is to sit down. If you can, if you're doing some other things and you're just listening, you can go back and do this later. But sit down, get yourself a piece of paper, and jot down what comes to you as we go through these 6 areas of health. These are the 6 areas of health that this podcast has helped me to see are the big ones. These are the things that no matter what health expert I've talked to, no matter what person I've interviewed, coaches, doctors, nurses, people who have been successful with their own health and fitness, whoever we've talked to, these are the 6 areas that are key. They are critical. And anything that someone said, hey, this makes a big difference. Hey, you should focus here. Hey, start here, do this. It always falls into one of these 6 areas. It's only these 6. So what we're going to do is we're going to just take a moment, just look at each of the 6, and we are going to reflect. I'm going to give you some questions for reflection in each of the 6 areas. And what I want you to do specifically with this one is think about the past year or so. So we're kind of trying to zoom out and take an aggregate look, right? I don't want you to condemn yourself for what happened yesterday. I don't want you to think about the last week. I want you to kind of zoom out and try to think about this recent, or I should say less recent past for you. The last few months, the last 6 months, this past year, how are things in these areas going for you? And of course, if there's something very acute that comes up, something like, oh, this part is really dragging me down right now, it's really affecting my health, my energy levels, my outlook, well, acknowledge that as part of where you're at right now. And we'll see what we can do moving forward to make an improvement. But it all starts with this reflection session. So here we go, the 6 areas, of course, and we've talked about these before. I have found that I've changed the order a little bit of them, but I made some intention to set up these 6 areas in terms of a verb, an action word to label each of the 6 areas so that we can be reminded that it's all about action in these areas. It's about what we're doing that's going to affect our health in each of these 6 areas. So here are the 6: eat, drink, sleep, think, move, connect. Okay? Eat, drink, sleep, think, move, connect. So let's dig in. Let's look at each of these areas. I invite you, you can take a piece of paper, write them down as a heading, or if you do it the way that we were taught in the coaching course that I took some time ago, to make it like a wheel, make it like a pizza, and you cut it down the middle, cut it horizontally, and then another line to divide those bigger sections, and you'll end up with 6 slices, which is really cool because we have these 6 areas. It's just these 6. So within each of those slices, what I want you to do is write down anything that's coming to mind as we go through these questions in terms of how you have been doing in these areas. And what I want you to do in each area, we're going to talk about the area. I'm going to give you some questions for reflection. Focus on what's been going well. And then before we move on from each area, we're going to just take a moment to think about what might make that area even better. Okay? And those are intentional questions to focus on the positive. And then rather than being condemnatory, we're going to focus on what could make it even better, right? It's good already. You made it through the calendar year. You did it. You're still in one piece. You're still here. So it's been pretty good. It's been good enough, but what could make it even better? So here we go. Let's talk about eat. And of course, when we say that category, we're talking about food, right? We're talking about nutrition specifically. So take a moment, just think about the previous year. Like, what's typical? What's the average day, week like in terms of nutrition? How mindful have your eating habits been? Are you incorporating various different colorful fruits and vegetables into your meals, into your snacks throughout the day? How often is processed food being utilized or fast food being used to fill in the gaps? How about portion sizes and moderation? Is that a consideration? Is it a thought to make sure that we're noticing feelings of fullness, feelings of hunger disappearing as we're eating, and now we're starting to feel full? How aware have you been of that? And how intentional have you been with portion sizes? What we do with our clients is we help them to create meals that are properly balanced and properly portioned. We take a ballpark guess at what they need throughout the day. We divide that into meals so they know at each meal about what they should be consuming. We still encourage them to eat slowly, eat mindfully, and notice feelings of hunger disappearing, feelings of fullness starting to come on, and then being intentional about not eating past those feelings of fullness. How about those macronutrients, protein, fats, carbohydrates? Is there some intention into creating some square meals, some balanced meals with those elements? And with protein, fats, and carbohydrates, how about fiber specifically, right? We can have carbohydrates, but are they carbohydrates that are including plenty of fiber? And that comes from whole foods, whole veggies, whole fruits, rather than some more processed carbohydrates. Are we trying new things when it comes to food? New recipes, for example, new foods. Good questions to reflect on that area of eat. So, what's been going well as you think about it? What intentions have you put in place that have helped you to move forward in that area in the past months and even over the past year? What things do you want to keep in place? What things need to stay? I like that I'm doing this. I like that I'm prepping my food. I like, whatever it is. What things do you want to keep in place? And then finally, as you look at this area of eat, what might be something that you might do moving forward to make this area even better? As we went through those questions, I know that's kind of the way our brain works, right? We're thinking about, what's the thing that I can do to improve? Well, what's the thing? What's the thing that came up for you that you might do in order to move forward, to becoming a healthier version of yourself and to making this area of health show up a little bit more supportively for the life that you want to live? All right, let's move on. We did eat. Let's do drink. Here we go. We talk about hydration with drink. So look at that slice or put that heading down on your piece of paper. Think about it, right? Here's my question for a lot of people. Water. How much water are you drinking in a day? Is it equivalent to what your personal needs are or approximate, right? Are we putting some intention into starting water early in the day and throughout the day? And speaking of things we drink early, how about caffeine? How is your caffeine intake? How does it affect your energy levels? How about other things that you might be drinking? Sugary drinks. How often are those showing up? We've had guests on the show that have said, hey, that's the thing. Pay attention to that, especially parents, especially younger children. Parents paying attention to their children, that's the thing. We had experts that say that's the thing to pay attention to for good health. So how are sugary drinks showing up? How often are they being utilized, if at all? How about alcoholic beverages? How often are those showing up? And when they are showing up, is it something that's some care and moderation is being exercised as you utilize that drug, right? Being conscious of how it's showing up and how it's being used, and knowing that for the most part, from what we know now from research, what science is telling us is that alcohol really isn't really going to support us in our health. So how often are we drinking? How much are we drinking? Is it on the increase? Is it on the decline? Where is it at, if it's there at all? All right. And listening to your body's thirst signals. Maybe that's a final area we could talk about when it comes to this heading of drink, right? How am I doing in listening to my body? Making sure that I'm drinking to keep myself from being thirsty, and also listening to the signals in my body. We talk about this with our clients in our Facebook group. We've talked about this, is paying attention to just the signals your body gives you, like the color of your urine. Is it super colorful? Typically, throughout the last few months, the last year, are we even noticing, right? That is a great clue that our body gives us to see how hydrated we are, if we're properly hydrated. There it is. So paying attention to that can be really important, right? We're looking for the clearest color we can manage in order to see if we're properly hydrated. So before we move on, what do you want to keep in? What's been going well with this area of drink? What's been going well? And what might you do to improve? What might make this area even better in your life? And again, I know as we go through the questions, the thing the brain always is doing is, what's my thing? What's the most important thing that I got to fix here? I get it. My brain works the same way. So my question before we move on is, what was the answer? As you listen to those questions that I asked, what was your answer? What's the thing that you might do moving forward in order to make improvements in this area, so that this area of drink is supporting you in being the healthiest version of yourself that you possibly can be? All right, let's move on to sleep. We did eat, drink. Let's talk about sleep. Now, here's some questions to reflect on how you've been doing, how this has been showing up in your life. And my first question for you is, how tired are you? Right? In the morning, how are you waking up? Is it a struggle every day to move out of that bed and just drag yourself out and start dragging yourself around in the morning? Or are you waking up feeling pretty good generally? How many hours of sleep are you getting on an average night? Is it something you've paid attention to? Is it something you're tracking? What's your usual bedtime? What's the usual time you get up? And how many hours are in between, right? And on that topic, do you have a consistent sleep schedule? We've had guests on the show as well that have told us that's the thing. That's the most important. Research is showing that the consistent schedule is almost, or in some cases more important than even the quantity of sleep that somebody's getting, is the consistency of it. And maybe even taking a look at the weekends. How is that? Do we stay in that routine on the weekends, or are we throwing ourselves off by staying up late on our weekends and breaking that consistent schedule? When you go to bed, how fast do you fall asleep? That can be there's some clues there in our sleep environment. Is it supportive of us falling to sleep quickly? Are there some things that we could do during the day to get exposed to daylight, sunlight, get under the sky, that can support our, the rhythms of our body, so that we can get to sleep, fall asleep faster? Or perhaps it's our daily activities, or our ability to kind of shut our brain off at the end of the day so that we can rest. That's an important skill as well. How about the quality of the sleep? Right? Do we wake up feeling rested again? Do we wake up a lot during the night? Is there, again, something in our environment that we could adjust so that it could be more supportive? Our clients, we talk about this a lot, where our cell phone is while we're sleeping. Do we have to peek at it every time we wake up during the night and then see notifications that, perk us back up? How's our mattress? How's our breathing? These are all factors. How about screen time? Is that something that could be affecting sleep negatively? Or do we have a good pre-sleep ritual where we're kind of shutting the day down, shutting the electronics down, getting the lights off, so we're dimming our environment, so we're getting ready for bed, or any other routines before sleep that you've added in this year that have supported you? How might sleep be affecting mood? Huge, right? How well we're sleeping can affect food cravings. It can affect how we react to the people around us, how we deal with stress. All these things can be indications that sleep might not be where it needs to be in order to support the healthy life that we want to live. And here's a final question. How often do you prioritize sleep over other activities? That's interesting, right? How often are we saying, no, I got to stop. I've got to go to sleep. It's time for bed. Almost like a parent would do for their children, right? Time to turn this off. It's bedtime. Well, how often do we do that for ourselves? Or if someone asks us to take an early appointment for some reason, we say, no, like that's going to encroach on my sleep routine. Can we move it later in the day? How often do we prioritize sleep over other things? Some very good questions, right, to ask ourselves in order to reflect on how things have been going in life. And before we move on from sleep, my question is, what's been going well in this area for you? As you think about it, what's the positives? What are the things that are showing up the way that you want them to continue to show up in this area of sleep in your healthy lifestyle? And after you answer that question, here's the last one is, what might make this area even better? How might you set things up so that sleep is showing up even better in your life, supporting your health even more? As I went through the questions, I know your brain was like, oh, that's the thing. Oh, man, that's the stuff I got to work on. Mine does the same thing. That's okay, but let's not ignore it. Let's not move on until we address it, acknowledge that it's there, and put some thought into what we might do moving forward in order for us to do even better in this area of health. So there were 3 areas: eat, drink, sleep. What I'm going to do is break this one up. I'm going to let you sit on those 3. We're going to do the next 3 the next time I talk to you here on a Thursday, which would be the last episode of the calendar year. We're going to reflect back on those final 3 areas of good health and see how we've been doing. I hope this was valuable for you. I hope you had some takeaways and some light bulb moments as you're listening. If you're like me, you did. Going through this is so healthy. And again, we don't do it enough. We don't slow down. We don't reflect enough. And that's something that I want to provide for you, and something that we do provide to our community, especially those that are in our coaching program, which is open for enrollment right now. If you're looking for some support in the new calendar year, we have just what you need. We have clients right now that have been making progress for months in these same areas that we've just been talking about. And they do it consistently with regular education, with regular support and accountability, and tracking the habits in these areas that are making the biggest difference to all of us. Open for enrollment at beginwithin.fit/coaching. Go check it out. We would love to have you as part of the community. Thanks again for listening. I will talk with you next week here on the Begin Within Health Show.